Well, welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Rami Kahlon of Odd Girl, which is playing Shriekfest. It's very cool to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So this is your directorial debut.
Yeah, it is.
That's going to be exciting.
I know it's going to be back on the big screen. It's been a while since it hasn't been some film festivals, so I'm really excited it's back in LA.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, you're an actor. And what did you always want to write and direct? How did that come about?
Yeah, I always wanted to write before I wanted to direct. But when I was in high school, like I did some writing. I used to write poetry, and I was in like the filmmaking school, classes. So when I was like 18, it was like, I don't know if I wanted to act or if I wanted to direct and write. So I kind of went the acting route. And once I did that for a while, I decided to go back to directing and writing.
So are you still going to do the acting, or are you going to pursue the directing?
Definitely. It's really hard to balance both, but I do think that acting is my first love and my major love. So definitely I'm going to be doing acting, but I think going forward, I think if I'm directing or writing, then I'll cast myself in my movies so I can do both at the same time.
That does come up sometimes. People say, there's not roles that out there that they really want, so they write their own.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Is it a similar creative outlet, writing and directing, as it is to acting, or are they completely different?
That's a great question. I think about this all the time. I think that the creativity is there for writing and acting. I think creatively, it's the same thing. But then when it comes to directing, I think half of directing is so technical that I think directing versus acting and writing are kind of different beasts, because in directing, you can't just be creative. You have to think about the time, you have to think about the lenses, you have to think about just all of the other stuff that goes into it. So definitely it's all creative. It's just that there's some aspects where you have to be a bit more technical.
Yeah. You said you took classes for film, but when you're an actor, I assume being on set, you pick up a lot of things on how to actually direct.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing I picked up most on set was how directors talk to actors. That's what I had the most experience with. And then when I wasn't on set, I would just be freaking out about my role. So I never actually observed behind the scenes, right, which I wish I had. But that was the biggest thing I picked up, is what is the best way to communicate with actors, the best way to get a good performance. So
would you say the background in acting helps you as a director?
100%, because I think that I have a good eye of knowing when an actor doesn't get it, when an actor's anxiety is in the way. Like, I think I have a pretty clear idea of what's going on that's stopping this actor from giving their best performance or giving the performance that I want.
Yeah. It might be too early to say this, but do you think on being on the other side could help you as an actor?
Directing?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's the lessons that I'm going to be learning from directing, I think, are still slowly coming in every now and then. But I think the thing that jumps out at me the most is that filmmaking is such a huge part, and everyone plays such a big part, and it's really not all about the acting. Acting's like 10% of it. The lighting has to be good, the camera has to be good, and that's one thing that I've realized is that, okay, I could give the best performance, but I also have to make sure that it fits with the story, that I've hit my mark, that the lighting's on me, things like that. That's the number one thing I learned, which kind of brings the pressure down.
Yeah. And editing also, I assume, is a big part of how something actually comes
absolutely
out. Yeah. So what was it about Odd Girl that you decided this would be the thing that I want to direct? This is the first thing I would like to direct.
Well, I never planned on directing it, but it was a short written for a horror festival, and it did really well in this festival. And I wanted to direct, and I felt like it would be an easy thing to direct, it being set in high school, it being set, nothing super crazy happening. And that was pretty much it. I wanted to direct something, and that was a script I had written that had been doing really well and had gotten really good responses and reviews from people, that I was like, I could either sit and think about what script I want to write and really overthink this, or I could just get the script that I know is good, that I'm connected to, that I have a good base with, that's doing well, and then go with that.
Was that your first experience at the festivals with the script, or had you been there with things you acted in?
No, that was my first experience. If I've been in some film festivals, the directors never let me know. Researching for like my film resume, which I now have to make, I did look up some other films that I had done as an actor, and I found out it had been in some film festivals that I had no idea. Yeah. So that was definitely my first foray into film festivals.
Yeah, you think you would let you know? I mean, at the very least, you would share them. You would think,
Yeah, but I get it. I mean, I'm also pretty bad at telling people. I think I like post it on social media and whatnot, but once you start getting into a few, it's kind of an ordeal to email everyone every time.
Yeah. So what was that experience like? Even before your own movies in the festival, having the script at the festivals.
That was super exciting. I had never been a finalist for writing, and writing is always something that I've wanted to do. So it was nice to get the validation. It wasn't like a real live festival. It was kind of like an online festival, but just even getting some validation, some recognition. I think like prior to this film and prior to the past year, I haven't really received any awards for anything art related. So just getting that was like, okay, I could put myself out there more, and then, maybe people will like what I have to say and film.
Yeah. Help yourself esteem, I think. But yeah. So actually filming it. So, you said it's filmed at a school. So how do you go about finding a school to film it at?
This is super hard. I didn't realize that it would be such a big deal until after we filmed it, because I had written my old high school and I knew people from that old high school. So it was kind of an easy process for us. We just, it was with this teacher named Annie Ohana that she was incredible. She kind of was the person that was the location manager and just facilitated it, and it really wasn't that problematic to get it. But it wasn't until after we filmed it that a bunch of filmmakers were questioning, how did you get that school? How much did you have to pay? Blah, blah, blah. And that's when I realized getting a school is actually really difficult, but we really lucked out.
Right.
So
did they, you know if the teacher saw it, the odd girl?
I believe so. I've given her like a few festivals that it's been at, and I've given her the link to it. So I think she's seen it, but she is a very, very busy woman. Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'll actually, after this interview, I'll message her.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
How about casting the movie? Were they a lot of the actors you knew beforehand, or how did you go about doing that?
No, I'm not a fan of nepotism. So for this film, I really wanted to make sure that I didn't just cast my friends. We held open casting calls for 3 days, and I saw a bunch of actors that I never knew. I think I only knew Parmis, who plays Mindy. That's the only actor that I knew beforehand. And she also came in and auditioned for it. I was the best person for the role. So yeah, everyone, they're new friends now, but I didn't know any of them from before.
Yeah. And when you're writing Odd Girl, is there anything like about any of the characters that are, personal to you?
Yeah, I think that I wrote the leads based on myself and my best friend. That's pretty much it. Just the characters. Instead of making some of the characters up, I just based it off of myself and my friend. I'd say that's it. Like the other half of it, it's pretty supernatural. So I can't say that that's based on real life.
Right. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Thank God.
That's a positive thing, right?
Yeah.
You talked earlier about, a lot of things that maybe people don't think about lighting and everything. So when you're actually filming it, it looks great, by the way, Odd Girl. It looks very professional and all lighting's very good. So, who helps you with that? Or is
the cinematographer is incredible. Farhad Gaderi did all of that for Odd Girl. And he was so generous that he ran me through things that I didn't know. Like I didn't really know anything about lenses or lighting or aspect ratio. So quite a few times where we sit down or have phone calls, he would tell me everything just step by step. and I really trusted him. So a lot of times I really let him take the reins. I was involved in all the conversations and we'd storyboarded together, but I think that his eye is incredible. So I really wanted him to take the reins with the cinematography. And then I wanted to focus on the acting and the blocking. And if I didn't like something, I'd let him know. But I just 100% trusted him because I know he's a fantastic artist.
And this might be a silly question or odd question, maybe I should say for Odd Girl, but when you're, I don't give much away of the movie, but there's a scene where someone's kind of chanting like almost in tongues. Is that like written out, like scripted, like what, or is it like just, say some stuff?
No, that whole thing is scripted. And I also, this, a bit of a spoiler, but I do want to say that it's not a real ritual.
Okay, good.
Because I know quite a few people, they close their ears, they they get really freaked out because they believe in that. And I believe in it too. So I would never do that. It's a chant that I wrote, and it's spoken backwards by the actress.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna watch it and play it backwards to see what she says.
Try to figure out what she says.
Yeah. Well, you said about rituals, and is it obviously you said it's not a real ritual, but is it based in something?
It's based on quite a few things. I grew up watching Supernatural, which is filmed in Vancouver, so it's based on a few of the stories that I've seen there. It's based on some stories that I searched up. Like there's a Jewish mythological creature named the Dybbuk, I believe. I'm probably mispronouncing it. But the story was written before researching any of these. So initially it wasn't really based on anything, but after watching these shows, I kind of realized that there's a lot of very similar aspects of our film and to all of the mythologies that are all over the world. So nothing specific, but generally you could get it's in like pieces for a lot of supernatural things.
So are you a horror movie fan or a horror fan in general?
I am. I really am. I love gore. I think it's super exciting. I absolutely love horror comedy. It's like my favorite genre ever. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's I've seen a lot of feature horror comedies for film festivals for the past few months. And I just think it's hilarious. I know it's like some people love it and some people hate it, but I absolutely love it. I think it's awesome.
And it's hard to pull off, I think, because I always think the horror has to work in a horror comedy for the movie to work. Like it has to. If the more gore, it sounds strange, but the more gore, the funnier I think the comedy comes out.
I totally agree. Yeah, you have to 100% commit to it. You can't make the gore part the gimmicky part. The dialogue has to be the gimmicky part.
Yeah.
When it's done well, it's done really well.
Mm-hmm. So about the festivals, because I'm a big fan of festivals. Main thing I missed during the pandemic. What's you have your own movie at the festivals, and then you see other things. Like just talk about that experience, and do you think that's an important thing for filmmakers?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it has been a bit. You haven't been able to get too much this past 2 years because everything's been virtual. Mm-hmm. But when I know Shriekfest is in person, which is awesome. Yeah. It's such a great opportunity to connect with other filmmakers, make new friends. Like the first film festival I went to was Vancouver Asian Film Fest in Vancouver. And the people that I met and the filmmakers that I met are still people that I collaborate with today and like give notes for their films, and they'll give notes for my scripts. And I really wish that I had that with the other film festivals. But our run was during the pandemic, so we we didn't get to meet too many people, but hopefully in the next one, I'll get to network.
What if you said the Vancouver Film Festival, like in Nevada or something? That would be strange. Yeah,
that would be really strange. Yeah.
Will you be at Shriekfest?
Unfortunately, I won't be this year. Just with all of the testing, the COVID rules, and I'm out of country, so we couldn't swing it. But I'll be watching virtually for sure. Yeah.
Any standout films? I said you said they couldn't come to your mind, but do you have any films that stand out over the last year or so from the festivals?
I really wish I knew what this was, but I can describe it.
Okay. Well, it's like a game. People can try to guess at home.
Yeah, I believe there's an Italian family, and the food that they're eating is infected and it turns them into zombies. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen this, but it sounds like something I would enjoy.
It's amazing. It's so funny. God, I really wish I knew what it was called, but I don't. And they're all wearing like these tracksuits that are like the same color. And God, it's so good.
Yeah, no, it sounds.
I'll search it up after, and I'll send it to you.
I'll add it to the link. I'll add it to the description. That'll work. Yeah. I'll edit it in here.
Yeah.
With really bad dubbing.
Yeah. I'll just
it'll be my voice, and yeah.
Yeah. You can just mute me while you talk over.
Right. So, what kind of movies or films or anything like made you want to pursue filmmaking?
I really like understated, subtle movies. I think that the Black Swan, I believe it's called, with Natalie Portman. I thought that was incredible. I really like The Witch, Room, just movies that really make you feel something. I absolutely love getting that feeling and some emotions that are dormant. I find that movies have a really good way of bringing those out. And that's such a special feeling. And that's why I think I make movies, because I have those feelings and emotions that I want to express to other people. And I think it's just such a beautiful exchange of human experience.
That's interesting, because I think sometimes even if it's a negative emotion, if something evokes emotion, that's powerful. That's art.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that even if it's a negative emotion, like it's still an emotion that I don't think we need to be hiding. Like, I know there's a lot of things like, oh, don't feel sad. It's like, and I'm the exact opposite. I think like if you're feeling sad, let it pass. Let it come through, or else you're just going to keep it hidden. Mm-hmm. And then 10 years time, you're going to...
I think that's less natural to always be, always up.
Yeah, exactly.
You obviously don't want extremes, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So COVID's been a weird year, but are you working on anything currently?
Yeah, I'm writing a feature film.
Oh, cool.
So I got funding from the Canada Council for the Arts. Thank you, Canada. And it's a feature film based on colonial India. And it's about a revolutionary that's a female in a time where all of them were men. And the British had invaded India at that point. So it's going to be like a drama romance story, kind of reminiscent of Bollywood, but westernized a little bit. Totally, completely the opposite of horror and thriller, but it's something that I've been wanting to write for a while, having grown up watching Bollywood movies and movies about revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh. So I'm really excited to be working on that. I'm in like the research phase now, so reading a bunch of books about the history, which is really heavy, but super eye-opening.
Yeah, well, that sounds very exciting.
Thanks.
Do you hope to be in it too, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope to play the lead. Oh,
very cool.
Yeah.
It sounds sounds like a big project.
It's a big one. It's definitely a big one. It's something that's going to have to be set in India. It's going to have a big budget. But I do think it's a story that needs to be told. And I think that it's a story that when it's made, I think it's going to do extremely well, because it's something that hasn't been done before in the Western market. Interesting.
That's a good thing about the internet is, and the streaming sites is we get to see a lot of films that we might not have seen, a few years ago. Absolutely. It makes the world smaller in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some really cool indie films and foreign films that are incredible that, never get recognition here. So I've been enjoying that.
Yeah. Where can people follow you? Not to Canada, but online.
So I'm on Instagram. It's just my first and last name, RamiKahlon. That's where I'm the most active. I have Twitter too. I post once a month, but that's where I am too. And then if you wanted to follow the film instead of me, it's Odd Girl Film, ODDGIRLFILM on Instagram.
Okay, very cool. And hopefully, we get to also see some news about your feature film in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So I also want to ask, when you started, so when you're directing for the first time, what was like different than you expect? What was like, was anything harder than you went in, thinking it would be?
Yeah, so many decisions you have to make all the time. Because when you're acting, you give it your best shot, and then the director will kind of do what they want. But directing, it was like I had to decide what shirt the actor was going to wear, and what else with the shirt. Were they going to wear a scarf? What story does the scarf tell? I had to be very detailed and very specific, which is a skill that I want to eventually bring into my acting. But I think that's the thing that really blew me by surprise. It was like I was in control, and I had to make these decisions, and I was the one with the vision. So it definitely was a lot more control than I've ever had, and a lot more decisions than I've ever had to make.
And when Odd Girl played at the festivals before COVID, before they went virtual, was that a different experience watching something you made as opposed to something you're in with an audience on the big screen?
Yeah. I think that it was actually less embarrassing because I when I see myself on screen, I hide, I get really shy. But the first few times watching Odd Girl in a packed theater was amazing because I could see what people found funny, which is some parts I didn't expect, what people were really afraid of, what lines resonated with people. So it was really cool. And unlike when I'm watching myself acting, after a while with watching my own film, like it just becomes a pleasurable experience. And yeah. Cool. At one point I started like heckling my own film, and I was like, I shouldn't do that. But,
and everyone else is mad. They're like,
yeah.
I hope, and they're not like agreeing with you.
No.
Get this movie, but you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I have to remember some things are just funny to me and not to an audience that are trying to watch films.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So it's going to play Shriekfest. It's also online, but the experience of seeing on the big screen is really a good time. Plus, with all these other shorts and features.
Yeah, definitely. Watching it on the big screen is a completely different experience. And the trailer for Shriekfest looked amazing. There's so many exciting short films that I want to go check out.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of them. And honestly, not just because you're here, we're talking about Shriekfest, but a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, lots of gore too.
There is a lot of gore, yeah. I like gore too. It's usually... the filmmakers will say they don't like the gore. They like, like a thoughtful horror, which I like that too. I don't say I just like gore, but it is nice sometimes when someone says, I really like gory films. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
It really depends what mood you're in, I think.
Yeah, you don't always want something intellectual. Sometimes you
just want to sit there and see someone get eaten or something.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that makes sense to me. So I'm right with you. Well, it's been very fun.
Yeah, this was.
I hope to do it again sometime.
Of course. I can't wait to check out the festival and check out your other interviews.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.